Barbie. My favorite toy growing up. Just kidding. But maybe it is now. I recently got the pleasure of watching the Barbie movie. And I already mentioned this in my Oppenheimer review, but I didn't do Barbenheimer right the first time. The first time it was opening night, so I just watched Oppenheimer. Didn't have time, obviously, to watch Barbie because it was already like 11:30 by the time I got out. So with opening night, you kind of had to choose one. However, I realized I wasn't getting the full experience. I had to get the laughs watching Barbenheimer, then get depressed watching, or get the laughs watching Barbie, and then get depressed watching Oppenheimer. So I finally got to do it, and let's just say it was low-key the opposite. Oppenheimer was wacky and goofy, and Barbenheimer was, I keep saying Barbenheimer, and Barbie was low-key soul-destroying. But let's just talk about this movie, man. Like and subscribe. Starting off, the Barbie Land intro was absolutely hilarious. It just showed Barbie Land, how the Barbies and Kens interacted and, lived. I really loved the sets in the Barbie world. The pink, the fake waves, like all of the plastic. They didn't even attempt to make it realistic, which I think was the perfect route. I was scared they would have done that. It felt like something a big movie corporation would do these days. They just made it Barbie, which was very litty. Set design, W. Next, I thought the humor overall mostly hit. There were a small amount of duds in there, but I thought it was pretty damn funny. The beat you off scene was genuinely awesome and had me dead. One of the best scenes in the entire movie. There were jokes about discontinued Barbies that I found pretty funny. The weird Barbie in the movie, I forgot the name of the actress, but that was a pretty awesome character and she hit all of her comedic beats. Ken's entire character had me with just a big smile on my face, so that's another W to this film. More on some of the comedy later when I talk about his character. But next I wanted to talk about Will Ferrell's character, the head of Mattel, and that whole kind of part of the arc. I saw a lot of takes talking about how that whole thing didn't need to be in the movie, and I half agree. I didn't entirely care for those characters outside of one fight scene that I thought was genuinely amusing, but I do understand their purpose for being in the movie and what they represent, so I wouldn't say take them out of the movie. I don't really have an answer for what I would do with them myself. I just think I don't know. I just know that I was pretty indifferent on them all in all. Now, on the other hand, Margot Robbie is perfect for this role. She did extremely well, and I feel like I connected with her. She's just so beautiful. I am so down bad. There's this one scene of hers. It's the scene right before the very last scene. It's not the resolution scene with, the Kens and stuff, not spoiling nothing. It's a scene with one other person. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just them two. Not trying to give away details, but that scene is on some Evangelion shit. And I actually kind of loved it. Despite the rest of the movie, it'd be me being kind of back and forth on whether I'm like, okay, this is great, or could have been better. But that scene did nail it. The scene after that was kind of funny, but boy, did I forget about the setup for that joke, because the setup was way earlier in the movie. So at the very end of the movie, just kind of smacks you in the face with a crazy joke to end it off. And while on the topic of that crazy ass joke, I was genuinely surprised. I didn't realize going into this movie that it was PG-13 until the movie started, and I saw like the PG-13 audiences, and I now I feel like I should have known better, because damn, was it worth it for some of those jokes? Probably. Moving on. This is probably the most controversial part of the review. I don't think this movie's heart was in the wrong place. I think women empowering movies are fine, but I don't think it did the best it could at delivering its message. It does exaggerate a lot, but I guess that was to really hammer in its points. I get it. I don't think that it's a big deal, really. However, one of the messages that I got from this was it wanted to do this anti-consumerism message. And whether you agree with that or not, they make a pretty good point in the movie, but they still have to be able to sell Barbies after the movie, so they don't fully commit to it. I kind of get it. Not a big deal. Now, the other point was the whole feminist message, as well as the message through Ken. For light spoilers, skip ahead literally like 15 seconds, but Ken's message with the whole not living just for Barbie, finding yourself, along with the rest of the Kens and all that stuff. Those are the two I'm going to talk about here. Like I said, I think the film's heart is in the right place, but I just don't think that they showed it as well as they could have. One thing is that it is very preachy. Depending on who you are, you might love that, you might hate that. I can understand both sides of that, if I'm being honest. Definitely depending on the movie. I don't personally mind the preachiness here, even if I'm not the targeted audience. Or maybe I fucking am, I don't know. At this point, the target audience could be fucking 12-year-old girls or 40-year-old men. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm never going to be the guy who goes, whoa, a political message? How dare this movie? Whether it's an agenda I agree with or not, I think you should have that voice to be able to spread a message you believe in. I think that's great. Not specifically talking about this movie's message, I'm just saying in general, since a lot of movies have political underlying themes that maybe people don't notice, I think it's fine. But with this movie specifically, I do think they could have done, like I said, a bit better at getting the message across. I keep saying the same sentence, but I'm not explaining why, so let's get into it. I guess the main thing was that they hammered that shit in hard. Like crazy. Which I understand that's what they were going for, most likely. It was, I'm assuming, the whole point to be in your face about it, very blunt about it. But I do still think it could have been slightly dialed back. Someone's gonna get fucking butthurt and claim that I'm anti-feminist or something, which is not really the case. I just feel like it's hard to resonate with general audiences that way. Not the people that are already pro-feminist, not the people that are anti-feminist or anti, that message, and because you're not going to change either of their minds. Their minds are for the most part set in stone. I'm talking about the people who aren't educated or don't know or don't really care going in, and maybe you want to leave an impression on them. I don't know if this is the best way to go about it. I saw someone online put in a good way that preachiness is fine unless the audience feels preached to. And I don't think that's an awful way to put it. Maybe because I'm not a woman who deals with those issues, it didn't hit as hard for me. And maybe that's why I'm saying this. That can entirely be why. But it is what it is. I can't change, I'm me. I can't change who I am. But I still do think that Barbie's resolution for her character itself was pretty great. The overall message, as I was saying, has its moments, but I don't think it lived up to its setup throughout the film. I just feel like it gets a bit messy at the end in terms of the resolution of the overall themes for that bit. I also think it was a little goofy that they used the buzzwords like patriarchy so many times that it felt just so unserious by the end. I mean, to be fair, it probably was the joke anyways, but it just felt kind of weird when it's like half trying to get across this message, but also were kind of funny. So it kind of made some of those not really hit. Because I get the resolution at the end. Not going to spoil, but a certain area does mirror another area. Okay, I'm going to fucking spoil it. Skip 30 seconds ahead. Skip. Now, I'm giving you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I get it. That Barbie Land is now, mirroring the real world, like where the real world, men, and then the women are a little bit lower, and then the Barbie Land is where the women are at the top, but the men can climb their way up too. And it's supposed to be a message that, people can work their way up and all this. And I think on the flip side of where I think that the earlier notes were kind of shoved in your face a lot more, this part I feel was almost rushed through, where I noticed a lot of people didn't even realize that was the point, because they just kind of got it and then we're good. Let's get to the end of the movie. I feel like they could have hammered that in more, but that could also just be wishful thinking. I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to add that in because this is me later. I didn't explain myself fully. Good job, me. Ken's personal journey, though? Shit! This is where I think the biasness of being a man might kick in, because Ken is absolutely the best character here for me. And his ending I really did like because of, again, spoilers and his personal growth. There's this one musical number scene with all the Kens, and that was pretty awesome. The choreography was great. This movie made me realize that I am Kenough, which was my takeaway, or at least my main takeaway for the men's side of the themes, even if I do think that also wasn't hammered as great as it could have been. But I think the message still came across. I want an I am Kenough hoodie for sure. It will give me all the Kenergy that I need. Barbie's growth on the flip side was pretty neat. Spoilers for like another 20 seconds, just skip ahead. The bit about becoming human was cool. I normally like stories like that, except they're normally with people who don't express feelings at all and have severe trauma or are fucking robots that I see go through this arc, not Barbie. Not a complaint though, I thought it was pretty cool and a different perspective on that type of character, that archetype. I thought it was sick. It's also funny because, back to the kind of political thing, I think this is one of the first films in recent times where I've seen both sides of the far political spectrum not enjoy its themes. The right-wingers don't like it for obvious reasons, and the left-wingers think it doesn't delve deep enough into feminism and just does it surface level, and I've heard a few other reasons as to them not liking it. I just found it weirdly hilarious, because I never thought Barbie, of all things, would be so controversial. And I appreciate controversy, as long as it's nothing serious, Some things I think maybe you shouldn't do. But a little bit of trolling, I'm fine with. A little bit of tomfoolery, even, I like. But yeah, overall it was a lot better than I expected. Not a modern masterpiece or anything like that for me personally, but I do think it was a fun one-time watch for what it was, and Barbenheimer was definitely an experience. Now that I did it properly this time. Also, this kind of a tangent, but the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie comes out today. I'm gonna watch that. It's apparently pretty good. But on to my next point, why I mentioned that, I'm just glad cinema is back. Until a few months from now when we see all the films that come out of the strike. Shut up, car. Moral of the story, pay your writers. Have a great day, guys. See you soon, and peace.